All right, we are back. Welcome back to the Morning Liftoff. You heard a wonderful back-to-back there. My descriptive words are failing me this morning. This is not fun. Vanessa, you're going to have to save me here. It's a rough show today. I don't know what's going on.
I'll try.
I see people, and it's funny because you're not the first, but I see folks walk in with the army ensemble, and a little intimidated maybe. That could be
Sorry.
it. So it's all right. It's all right. Pierre texted me and said you've got a great big giant heart, so I'll get past the the camo, and I'll go with that. So where were we now? We talked a little bit about just kind of the natural progression for you to just be in the Army. It's what your family does. It's what you've always wanted. And then, so from there, you were posted CFB Gagetown.
Yeah.
Which was supposed to be just a few months?
Yeah. So what actually happened was, I went to Royal Military College. I studied honors physics, which is kind of random, considering what I'm doing now and what I was doing in the Army.
That sounds really smart.
Yeah, I don't really remember anything. But so then I got posted to Gagetown because right now I'm armored. So I work with tanks, and I was training to be an armored officer, so learning how to command a troop of tanks, which is 8. So I was posted to Gagetown to finish my armored training, and I was only supposed to be here for 6 months. But then there was I just had a crazy year of God revealing things to me. He first revealed to me that I wasn't meant to be armored. And so I had to take a huge leap of faith in choosing to leave that trade and pick a new trade in the military. But then in that process, I kept hitting roadblocks. And so that's when I started wondering, wow, is it actually time to leave now? Because I've known for a few years that God is calling me to be a missionary, but I was just waiting on the right timing.
So now, while in Gagetown, somehow you got connected with the crazy crew out in Marysville there, up at the church that's on the hill behind the mill in the Ville.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Well, I actually came here a couple years ago just for the summer for my first armored training. And that's when I found Crosspoint because I wanted a church to go to on Sundays. And I didn't know what church to go to, but I was just going on the internet, and I found the Crosspoint website, and I was like, oh, this looks cool. So I went. And then I love Crosspoint so much. And then when I came back, I started going back to Crosspoint. But I always at first I just thought it was a temporary place, I was just passing through, and it was great in the moment, but I was I have my church back in Ottawa. That's my home church.
Right.
But then God had different plans for me, and so now here I am. I've been almost here for 2 years instead of 6 months. And even now, once I made the decision to leave the military and start preparing to be a missionary, Crosspoint became the biggest part of that. And so it's just been amazing to see how God transformed that, and he used people at Crosspoint to help me get the courage to follow my calling and leave the military and take that huge step of faith. But also even in the fundraising season, because I was actually supposed to be released in November, and I wasn't. My paperwork was delayed, and I was so miserable, and I was like, God, why do you still have me here? I need to start my fundraising. I need to go back to Ottawa. But God kept me in Fredericton, and I had to believe that there was a reason for that. And now here I am 3 months after that, and Crosspoint has been the biggest part of building my team of supporters, and it's just been absolutely amazing.
Awesome. So what we'll do is we'll talk in the 8 o'clock hour a little bit more about the specifics, because it's funny, we've talked about your military, we've talked about just the calling out of that into something else, and your church's part in that, but we've not told the listeners where you're going or what the plan is for this. So once we hit the 8 o'clock hour, we'll talk about that, and maybe where the Lord is taking you, and maybe even how you made that original connection, because I'm looking forward to that part of the story. So it'd be exciting to see that. And again, we're going to challenge the listeners to be tuned in for that. It's an awesome story. Looking forward to hearing more from Vanessa here in the 8 o'clock hour. In the meantime, we're going to play some more music. Here is, who do we have? We've got Green River Ordinance, Better Love. Bringing us into the 8 o'clock hour, that was Scientists with their song Deep Down here on the Morning Liftoff. Morning Liftoff brought to you by Price Auto Sales, where the price is right at Price Auto Sales. Now it is time for the Joy FM Verse of the Day. The Verse of the Day is brought to you by our friends at Top Mart Building Supplies, Fredericton's trusted building supply partner. Now, I told Vanessa she has, some people, they come in for interviews, and then some people, they think they're coming in for interviews, and they turn into a co-host. So, since she has turned into a co-host, she's going to bring us the verse of the day.
Thanks, Scott. So our verse of the day is Jeremiah 33:3. Call to me, and I will answer you, and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know.
So, does that strike a chord with you at all?
Yeah, definitely. I feel, when I read this verse, I feel like it's just telling me like that God is so good and that he has a plan for each person. Mm-hmm. And even if whenever we pray to him, sometimes the answer is no, but it's only because he has something better. And that was definitely reflected in my life this past season.
I love that, because as you're reading that, I'm listening to the verse, and it says, yeah, call to me and I will tell you great and unsearchable things that you did not know. There was probably a time in your life where God was like, hey, just reach out to me. And you, as you did, is like, hey, yeah, I got big things for you. And you're like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Which we're going to hear about here in just a little bit. We're going to get into some more music later on during this half hour. We're going to get to the portion of Vanessa's story where she discusses from military to missionary and how that process began. So you're not going to want to miss that. Keep it tuned in for that. Here is some good Canadian content of Dan Bremnes with his song, In His Hands. That was Aaron Schutz wrapping up that back-to-back with his song, No One Higher. Dan Bremnes, In His Hands. In before that, we've got some great tunes on deck. But first, it is time for a message from our good friends at Monkey Cakes and your Bible Ministry Minute.
Hi, this is Ben Lowell with Back to the Bible Canada's Bible Minute. Ephesians 4 says, instead let the Spirit renew your thoughts and attitudes. Put on your new nature, created to be like God, truly righteous and holy. Do you find yourself falling back into old patterns? Your thoughts disappoint you. Your actions don't represent your new life. Your attitudes continue to inhibit how you see others. The list goes on, and I'm with you. There are times it seems the old nature creeps in. But let me encourage you. You and I are on a journey. We're dealing with the garbage of living a sinful life, and how we deal with it is by daily renewing our hearts, our minds, our thoughts, our attitudes, and allowing the Spirit of God to renew us. One day, we will be like Him. For today, come one step closer. Listen to Back to the Bible Canada every weekday on this station, or visit backtothebible.ca.
All right, we are back hanging out here. Oh, it's fun. We got some, I'm playing with some technology, and there's a reason why Ryan and Reed and Carter and Joel and the guys, they do all the technical stuff, but we're having fun with it.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Play it by ear.
Exactly. Literally. That's good. Should have brought you a guitar.
Yeah.
So we're sitting in with Vanessa Banks this morning. She's been telling her story, just kind of sharing her testimony of what God has done in her life, and to go from growing up in the Christian home to making, for her family, the natural step to go into the military, which is awesome. And then now God has placed a new calling on her heart. So here's the unofficial book title for you, or maybe official book title for you. We're From Military to Missionary. So how did that start happening?
Okay, well, first of all, I just want to say that when I did join the military, I felt like it was because God was calling me there. And it wasn't just because of family influence. Okay. Yep. But I always thought, once I was in the military and I saw the impact that I could make, I really did believe that it was my life calling. Mm-hmm. And I just assumed that I would be in the military my whole life, like most of the rest of my family. But then, about 3.5 years ago, I went to El Salvador for the first time on a short-term missions trip, and it just changed everything. And I'd never done a missions trip before, but when I was there, I just felt like I was home, and it's a completely different culture, different language, so it was crazy to me. But I just started doing the missionary work, and I just felt like that's what I was put on this earth to do. But at the same time, that's when I felt like God first revealed the calling to me. Mm-hmm. But I knew it wasn't the right timing yet, because He was still fulfilling the calling for me to be in the military. So since then, I've been now on 4 missions trips to El Salvador the past 4 summers. And every year, God has used the trips to just strengthen and confirm that calling. And then, like I mentioned before, it was this past year where I just had a really crazy year and kept hitting roadblocks. And that's when I started to ask God if it was time to be a missionary. And he revealed to me that it was.
That's awesome. So what's that process like in terms of it's like, okay, here's where I am, and now here's where I'm supposed to go. I mean, it probably some, not, I wouldn't say difficult, because God is big, and I mean, hey, he can get whoever to wherever, however. But so what has the process been like for you as you've been prayerfully transitioning from one season into the next?
Well, it's a very long process and very frustrating, because it's not like other jobs where you can be like, I quit, and then leave 2 weeks later.
Right.
It was basically like last May, I was like, I quit, and then I had to wait 8 months. So it was very morally just horrible. And you're expected to keep your motivation up and keep doing the job that the military is paying you to do. But at the same time, I was just so ready to move on. And then I went to El Salvador, like after I'd already made the decision to leave. And it just completely like confirmed that calling. And I just knew that that's where I meant to be. And then when I got back from El Salvador in September, it was the hardest time of my life, just waiting on God's timing. And it was just so hard. It's too bad that we don't have a pastor recently that's talked about how he's spoken about David and preparation and for things like that. Oh yeah, that would have been really useful for you. Huh? It would have been. The series at Crosspoint right now is the David series, and every week has applied exactly to my situation, and it's crazy. It's like he's reading my mind.
I very much understand. Yeah, that's awesome. So you have we're going to try something here, and if it doesn't work, we'll try after the weather again. You've got a little. So obviously, as a missionary, you have to do some fundraising.
Yeah.
And one of the ways that you've done some fundraising is you've made a bit of a CD.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that.
So one of my main ministries when I go to El Salvador is music ministry. So I play guitar and I sing. And the last couple years, I challenged myself to sing in Spanish. So it was amazing how much of an impact I could have when I was actually singing in their own language and singing just about how much God means to me and what he's done in my life. I made a CD. It's not professional, but it's me playing guitar and singing Spanish and English songs. I've been selling it for a donation for my fundraiser. So
there we go. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get you to line that song up, and you hit play, and we'll give it a try. This is Vanessa Banks, and the song is Revelation Song?
Yeah.
All right. So if that doesn't work, we'll try that after the weather, and if we don't hear from Vanessa this time, we'll hear from 10th Avenue North.
Okay. But that's probably a better choice.
No. So here we go. Let's give it a run.
Sits on heaven's mercy seat. Did Santo El Cordero inmolar en la cruz. Nuevo canto levantaremos. One last star. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come. With all creation now sing praise to the King of Kings. You are my everything, and I will adore you. Do not go iris, estás vestido, su voz resuena como estruendo. Recibo honor y gloria, poder y majestad, a ti, oh único Rey. Santo, 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 Dios todopoderoso, ¿quién fue, quién es y quién vendrá? La creación te canta, Hosanna, grandioso. Tú eres mi todo y yo te adoraré. Tan grandioso, asombroso, con solo decir Jesús. Cristo, tu nombre es grande, fuerte e inagotable, tu misterio glorioso es. Santo, 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 Dios todopoderoso, ¿quién fue, quién es y quién vendrá? La creación te canta, Hosanna, grandioso. Tú eres mi todo y yo te adoraré.
Now, did you ever think that your music would open up for Hillsong Young and Free?
Nope, never in a million years.
There you go. So you just never know what God will call you to.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's pretty awesome. So not only are you're actually on air this morning sharing your story with the world, you're sharing your music and sharing your heart. It's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
And it's like as Pierre said, you know what? Clearly you are someone who has a heart that wants to serve the Lord. So why not share it? So
Yeah.
that's pretty amazing. So we left off talking about your transition to where you're heading, the kind of the process of that, some of what God has taught you in that process. When that happens and you're serving there, because we're not saying if, we're saying when.
Yeah.
What is your ministry? What will you be doing in El Salvador?
Okay, so El Salvador is one of the most dangerous countries in the world. San Salvador is in the top 10 most dangerous, mostly because of gangs. So, and the youth of El Salvador are recruited into the gangs from a really young age. So when we go, our main focus is reaching out to the youth. So we put on a lot of youth programs. We hand out salvation bracelets. We share our testimonies. And we just basically focus mainly on loving the kids and reaching out to them and showing them that, you know, they have a choice. And if we can reach them at a young age and redirect their path to Jesus, it'll change everything. So I do a lot of music ministry, like I mentioned before. So I bring my guitar everywhere and I play music and I sing. I also have opportunity to teach music when I'm there at this music school. I'll also be helping teach English. And there's also a couple other big projects that I'm involved in that God has revealed to me. So one of them is one of my friends in El Salvador. She's Salvadorian. She had a vision to start her own orphanage. And she actually was praying all last year that God would send me over there to help her start it up. And I didn't even know that when I was making my decision to leave the military, but she told me after I told her I was going to move to El Salvador. So that was pretty crazy.
Amazing.
So I plan to make that a reality. There's also a camp being built, so I'll get to be a camp leader there for overnight camps and retreats. And yeah.
So, and that's probably the camps and retreats and things like that. That just an escape.
Yeah,
probably
exactly.
Yeah.
And I went to summer camp, and I've been a staff at Christian summer camps for a few years, and I know how much of an impact it can have on a child just to have them in that environment, like 24/7. Like it literally does change lives. And so if we can have a camp in El Salvador to do that, and it's also, the camp is located perfectly in between 3 communities that are very gang influenced, and we have a school bus that that the church that's building the camp owns, so they can actually go and pick up the kids, bring them to camp for, and they can sponsor kids to go there, and it's not that expensive either way to stay there. So
awesome.
Yeah, and it's also we've also been working with Youth for Christ El Salvador, because that's the organization I'm going with, is Youth for Christ Canada, and Youth for Christ El Salvador never used to exist. But that's why we went in the first place, was to come alongside the group of people that was there, local Salvadorians, and kind of mentor them and help them in their ministry. And then Youth for Christ El Salvador just became an official chapter last year. So I'm going to go work with them, and God has done amazing things through that. And the camp is actually going to become the new headquarters for Youth for Christ El Salvador.
That's awesome. Very, very cool. Now, I'm going to throw this out to the listeners. I'm just going to say we're going to connect with Vanessa here after some music and just talk about how you can be involved in this this calling for her, this adventure, what it is the Lord has laid on her heart. I just want to make this observation that we're going to get into a song. You started off a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
And now you're just passionately letting it fly. So to me, I love that. It just speaks to the heartbeat of where you're at, going, I may not necessarily be totally comfortable talking on radio, but I'm passionate about sharing Jesus with this nation and with these children. So that's evident. That's obvious. So very, very cool. It's been neat to kind of see the transformation even during this show. So that's very, very, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So I encourage you listeners, keep it tuned in. Another stop here. She's going to tell us exactly how we can get on board with her in this process. But very appropriate song coming up right now. Here's Matthew West, Do Something. Alrighty, we are back. It's funny. Time just kind of slips on by and sneaks right away. Then you don't even realize it's been an hour, like an hour and 15 minutes already.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So we've got one more time. We're just going to chat a little bit for a couple more minutes, and
I have to make it to work.
Yeah, I have to send you off to work because you're still there for now.
Still in the military for another couple weeks.
That's right. So, all right. Amazing process, amazing story, and just kind of even above all the story of what has happened and where you've been, and just the amazing upbringing and into the God's calling to military, to El Salvador, to fill in the blank. Even bigger than all that, it's really cool to hear your heart and your passion for this and your excitement. Hopefully that's something that we've been able to communicate to the listeners, and I would love for the listeners to be able to bless you and support you. So how can they do that?
Okay, well, there's two ways that they can partner with me financially, because I need to raise about $600 a month to live in El Salvador. So you can either do a one-time donation, which can happen online, which we're going to have information on the Facebook page about how to do that. Or if you feel called to become a monthly supporter, we're going to also have a donation form on the Facebook page. So you just have to print it out, fill it out, and mail it into Youth for Christ, which the address is at the top of the form. And then also I'm building my prayer team, so people who either want to stay updated by email or commit to praying for me while I'm over in El Salvador. So that you can just send me an email, and my email is also on the Facebook page. Alrighty,
so now, and if folks want to keep in touch with you, they can follow you on your blog as well?
Yeah, I have a blog. It's vanessafaithbanks.wordpress.com. It's also on the Facebook page. And I have a Facebook page called Vanessa Banks in El Salvador, Missionary with YFC.
Very, very cool. One way they can support you, we mentioned this briefly, is the song that they heard earlier.
Yeah.
It's on a CD. You have some of those left that you could sell?
Yeah, I have about 10 copies left, but I can also make more if there's more people that want them. So I'm just selling them by donation, so however much you feel that you want to give. They could just, I don't know how I would get the CD to them.
We can make it happen.
Okay.
Yeah, we can connect. If they want to connect, you guys connect with us here at Joy FM, and we'll connect with Vanessa and her peeps, and we'll your people meet my people. We'll get it done. So if you want to encourage her and bless her and hear some great worship music as well, certainly we would encourage you to do that. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Get connected. We're going to have her information on our Facebook page. If you want to connect and share and encourage and support Vanessa in this journey from military to missionary, we certainly would encourage you to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
It's been awesome.